You know what everyone says, right? Nothing can go faster than the speed of light. It's usually said with the same tone people use when they say, you can't divide by zero, or don't touch the stove. End of story. Physics done. But let me tell you something. That sentence, nothing can go faster than light, is true, and yet deeply misleading. It's like saying nobody can be taller than 6 feet without mentioning that you're measuring height while lying down. Technically correct, but completely confusing if you don't understand the game being played. The problem isn't light. The problem is what you think speed means. Because when people hear speed, they imagine a race, a little photon sprinting through space like a tiny Olympic runner, panting, sweating, trying desperately not to break the cosmic speed limit. But light isn't running a race. Light isn't even playing the same sport. And here's the first gentle crack in your worldview. Light doesn't experience speed the way you do. Hold on to that thought, because if you really digest it, everything you think you know about motion, time, and reality starts to wobble, just a little. So let me ask you something before we go further. What if the speed of light isn't about light at all, but about you? Let's poke at that. Light is not fast. It's weird. People love saying light is incredibly fast. And sure, compared to a car or a plane or your neighbor's Wi-Fi, it's blazing. You flip a switch and the room lights up instantly. No waiting, no suspense. So we imagine light as this tiny, heroic sprinter, legs pumping furiously as it races across space. But that picture is already steering you in the wrong direction. Because the strange thing about light isn't how fast it goes. The strange thing is that it doesn't care how fast you are going. Let me put it this way. Imagine you're on a moving walkway at the airport. You start walking forward. Someone standing still sees you move faster than if you were walking on the floor. No mystery there. Speeds add up nicely. Now replace your shoes with a flashlight. You're standing still. You turn it on. Light shoots out. Now you hop on a spaceship and blast off at an absurd speed, say 90% the speed of light. You point the flashlight forward again and click it on. Common sense whispers, aha, now the light should go even faster. That's what everything else does. But light doesn't. No matter how fast you're moving, the light still moves away from you at exactly the same speed. That's not just surprising, that's rude. It's like throwing a ball from a train and discovering it refuses to go any faster. No matter how hard you throw it, you'd think the universe was broken. And in a way, it is. Or rather, your expectations are. Because nature had a choice. It could let the speed of light change depending on who's moving. That would feel comfortable, familiar. Instead, it did something far stranger. It said, the speed of light stays the same, and everything else will adjust. Time stretches. Distances shrink. Clocks argue with each other. Not because light is special in the way a race car is special, but because it's playing a different game altogether. Here's a silly image I like. Imagine light as the background music at a party. You can dance fast or slow, jump or crawl. The song doesn't speed up for you. Instead, you adjust to the music. Light is the music, and we're the ones trying to dance. So when people say light is really fast, I nod politely and think, no, light is really stubborn. It refuses to change speed for anyone. And once you accept that, you start to suspect that light isn't just moving through space. It's quietly setting the rules of the universe. And that realization, that's when your everyday picture of reality starts to wobble, just enough to get interesting. Now I'm going to say something that sounds completely absurd. So absurd that your brain may try to politely ignore it. From light's point of view, nothing happens. No travel, no waiting. No. Are we there yet? Let's make this human. Picture yourself on a long road trip. Hours go by. You get bored. You check the clock. Time feels very real when you're stuck in traffic. Now imagine light making a trip. A photon leaves the sundae 8 minutes later. Boom, it hits your eye. You say, 8 minutes. Very reasonable. But that answer is about your clock, not lights. Because here's the twist. Light doesn't carry a watch. And even if it did, it would never tick. For light, the moment it's created and the moment it's absorbed are the same moment. 0 time passes. None. Not a little, none at all. That's not philosophy. That's physics quietly clearing its throat. Now, I know what you're thinking. Come on, it had to go somewhere. It crossed space. Yes, from your point of view. But from light's point of view, there is no during, no journey, no middle chapter. It's like opening your eyes and closing them instantly. Birth and arrival collapse into one event. Here's a silly analogy. Imagine you teleport. Not travel, teleport. One instant you're in your kitchen, the next you're on a beach. No in between, no hallway, no motion. That's how light travels. And now comes the real mischief. If light doesn't experience time, then asking how fast it feels like it's going makes no sense at all. That question assumes light lives inside time the way we do. It doesn't. Light doesn't age. Light doesn't wait. Light doesn't experience later. That's why trying to imagine light as a tiny glowing marble zooming through space always gets you into trouble. You're forcing it into a human story. Here's the gentle punchline. Speed only exists if time passes. And for light, time doesn't pass. So when we say light moves at the speed of light, we're really saying something about ourselves, about how we slice up time and space. Light just connects events. And once you see that, you can't help but wonder, if light can cross the entire universe without experiencing time, what does that say about time itself? And that's where things stop being strange and start being truly wonderful. People love rules, especially cosmic ones. So when they hear nothing can go faster than the speed of light, they imagine a big glowing sign in space that says speed limit, light. Go faster and bam, the universe pulls you over. But that picture is misleading, comfortably misleading, because the speed of light isn't really a speed limit the way a highway speed limit is. It's not about engines, horsepower, or trying harder. It's about cause and effect. Let me explain with something very ordinary. Imagine you clap your hands. The sound reaches the back of the room a moment later. That delay matters. People hear the clap after you make it. Cause first, effect second. Now imagine if sound could arrive before you clapped. Someone in the back of the room jumps and says, "Hey, why'd you clap?" And you reply, "I haven't yet, but I will." That's nonsense. Life would be impossible. Light plays the same role for the entire universe. It's the fastest way information can travel, not because light is showing off, but because reality needs a maximum speed to keep events in order. Light speed is the universe saying, this is how fast causes can produce effects, no faster. That's very different from saying, light happens to be the fastest thing around. Here's another way to think about it. Imagine the universe as a huge group chat. Messages can only travel so fast. If messages could arrive before they were sent, the conversation would collapse into chaos. Replies would come before questions. Arguments would happen before misunderstandings. Light speed is the chat's refresh rate. Now here's the twist most people miss. This rule isn't about stopping objects from moving fast. You can have galaxies flying away from each other faster than light. Space itself can stretch. That's allowed. No cosmic police show up. What you can't have is information outrunning light, because that's when cause and effect break. So the speed of light isn't a barrier you slam into. It's a boundary that keeps reality sensible. And once you see that, the sentence, "Nothing goes faster than light," starts to sound incomplete. If you're chasing a car and you're faster, you catch it. If you're slower, you fall behind. That's how life works. Light refuses to play that game. It's like chasing a rainbow. You walk toward it, but it never gets closer. Not because it's running away, but because the idea of catching it doesn't apply. Now here's the part people often miss. It's not that your spaceship is weak. It's not that you need better technology. It's that the universe quietly changes the rules as you speed up. Your clock starts ticking slower compared to everyone else's. Distances in the direction you're moving start to shrink, not in a spooky, magical way, just enough to keep the speed of light the same. The universe isn't punishing you. It's protecting its own consistency. Here's a down-to-earth analogy. Imagine you're late for a meeting, and every time you try to run faster, the hallway stretches a little longer and your watch slows down. You never quite make up the time. Not because you're bad at running, but because the building is weird. That's what space and time do when you chase light. And here's the real kicker. There is no such thing as standing still next to light. You can't ride alongside it. You can't peek over and ask, "So, how fast are you going?" Light doesn't have a rest position. It's always moving, not through space like a train on tracks, but as a fundamental connection between events. Trying to catch light is like trying to stop a shadow by running after it. The act of chasing already assumes a viewpoint that light doesn't allow. So when people say, "Why can't we just go a little faster than light?" the answer isn't because it's forbidden. The answer is because the question itself is broken. And once you see that, you stop feeling frustrated and start feeling quietly amazed at how cleverly the universe holds itself together. We like to think the universe is made of stuff: tables, chairs, planets, you, me. Solid things sitting in solid places at solid moments in time. That picture feels comforting. You can point at it, you can bump into it. But physics, when it's being honest, whispers something very different. The universe isn't really made of things. It's made of events and the relationships between them. Light is what defines those relationships. Here's a very ordinary example. You see lightning, and a few seconds later you hear thunder. You don't say, "The thunder was late." You say, "Sound takes time to travel." Light arriving first tells you the order of events. Cause, then effect. Now imagine a universe where there's no fixed speed for that signal, where sometimes light arrives sooner, sometimes later, depending on who's watching. You wouldn't even be able to agree on what happened first. Did the lightning cause the thunder, or did the thunder cause the lightning? Reality would feel drunk. Light speed quietly prevents that. It draws invisible lines between events and says, "This can affect that. That cannot affect this." Those invisible lines are the real structure of the universe. Here's a fun analogy. Imagine a city where roads randomly change length while you're driving. Sometimes a street stretches. Sometimes it shrinks. You'd stop thinking in terms of locations and start thinking in terms of connections. Can I get there from here becomes the only meaningful question. That's the universe. Space and time are just the map. Light draws the roads. We misunderstand light speed because we picture it as something moving inside space. But light is more like the thing that tells space how to behave. It connects stars to eyes, causes to effects, questions to answers. Without light speed, now wouldn't mean anything. Here wouldn't mean anything. Even you wouldn't be well defined. And here's the gentle surprise. You don't exist at a single moment in time. You exist as a chain of events, heartbeats, thoughts, breaths, all stitched together by signals moving at light speed. You are not a thing. You're a process. And light is the thread holding the process together. So when we say the speed of light is fundamental, we don't mean it's important, like you feel like you're sitting right here, in this exact moment, perfectly up to date with reality. But you're not. And that's not a problem. It's just how the universe works. Every time you look at something, You're seeing it after it has already happened. Light has to travel from that thing to your eyes. Even across the room, that takes time. A tiny time, sure, but not zero. That coffee cup? A slightly older coffee cup. Your hand? A delayed broadcast. Even when you look in the mirror, you're not seeing yourself now. You're seeing yourself a fraction of a moment ago. The mirror isn't honest. It's punctual. We usually ignore this because the delays are small, comfortably small, but they're always there. Now stretch that idea just a little. When you look at the sun, you're seeing it as it was 8 minutes ago. If the sun were to disappear, don't worry, it won't. You'd keep enjoying sunlight for 8 whole minutes before anything seemed wrong. That's not because light is slow. It's because information takes time to travel. And here's where people get mixed up. They imagine there must be a real, present moment somewhere, a cosmic now, and we're all just slightly late to it. But there is no universal now. Different observers have different slices of time, depending on how they move and where they are. Light speed makes sure everyone's version of reality fits together without contradiction. Reality isn't late. Reality is layered. Here's a simple image. Imagine a live concert broadcast with a tiny delay. Millions of people watch the same performance, but each screen is a few milliseconds behind the stage. No single screen shows the true moment. Yet the concert is still real. The universe works like that. Light is the broadcast delay that makes reality watchable. And here's the gentle, human twist. You don't live in the present moment. You live in a consistent story, one where light delivers information just fast enough for your brain to build a world that feels solid and continuous. And it works astonishingly well. So when people worry, are we ever experiencing reality directly? I like to answer. We're experiencing it the only way it can be experienced. Not instantly, not perfectly, but coherently, and that's a gift. Because thanks to light speed, the universe doesn't overwhelm us. It arrives at just the right pace, fast enough to feel alive, slow enough to understand. And once you see that, even a simple glance across the room feels a little more miraculous than it did before. So let's take a breath and look at where we've ended up. We started with a simple idea, the speed of light, a number, a limit, something people quote confidently at dinner parties. And now look at it. It's not really about speed. It's not really about light. And it's definitely not about winning a cosmic race. The speed of light is a clue about how reality is stitched together. We humans like to imagine the universe as a stage where things happen, objects moving around in space while time ticks politely in the background. Light, we thought, was just another actor, moving very fast across the stage. But that picture is upside down. Light isn't on the stage. Light builds the stage. It defines what can influence what. It decides which events can talk to each other. It quietly keeps cause and effect from tripping over themselves. And once you really see that, the phrase, "nothing can go faster than light," stops sounding like a rule and starts sounding like a description. It's not saying, "you're not allowed." It's saying, "this is how the universe stays sensible." And here's my favorite part, the part that makes me smile every time. The universe didn't have to be understandable at all. It could have been a mess, random, unreachable, completely beyond intuition. Instead, it's weird, but beautifully weird. It bends space instead of breaking logic. It stretches time instead of contradicting itself. It chooses elegance over convenience. And somehow, inside all that, we evolved brains capable of wondering about it. That's astonishing. You, sitting there right now, are a collection of events connected by signals that never exceed the speed of light. Your thoughts, you don't have to fully understand the universe to enjoy it. You just have to stay curious. Because the moment you stop saying, "Oh, I already know that," and start saying, "Huh, that's funny," that's when the universe opens up just a little more. And that, far more than any speed limit, is what keeps discovery alive.